Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of.
All right, try again.
Hey, everybody. Second try. We are now live for another episode of Colossal Plays, uh, ironically named as we will not, in fact, be playing a game today. But I'm Chris Ham, the lead developer for Colossal Games, and joined, as always, by my loyal, faithful, and somewhat treacherous graphic designer and art director, Chris Beyer.
Man of many hats. Hello.
Yes, and we are going to talk about the upcoming Kickstarter from Colossal Games this January, Reload, where players fight for fame. Reload is a tabletop battle royale game that's really trying to bring that experience from the screen to the tabletop, and we think it does a great job of that. It's got a really unique cast of characters in that as the tagline implies, you're fighting for fame. So the characters are not just some sort of mercenaries or whatever, but in fact are some combination of like pro wrestler, reality star, Instagram celebrity. And so Bayer's showing the base game personalities right now, the contestants. You've got Dax here. What'd you say?
I said, yeah, just the characters from the base game here. Now we have, not to tip our hat too much, but there are, obviously it's a Kickstarter, so there are more characters going to be introduced as part of the campaign. But we're going to be doing something a little more narrative with this campaign.
Yes.
As we kind of tie the things that get unlocked into the overall story of the game.
Exactly right. With this campaign, we're going to be doing daily unlocks. We for a variety of reasons, but one of which is, as Beyer mentioned, the narrative element, because given that this is an entertainment property in this future, so to speak, it really plays into the thematic elements of the game.
Yeah. So real briefly, let's kind of give an overview of what Reload is thematically. So it's kind of like, you know, your classic dystopian game shows like Hunger Games, or if you want to go in the Wayback Machine, Running Man.
Almost closer to Running Man, really.
Where you have these, or even maybe something like Death Race, where you have these kind of celebrity contestants that are in what is ultimately a pretty grim, dark combat arena to the death. But it's been so sensationalized, and there's such a layer of polish and entertainment thrown on top that you kind of overlook the dark underbelly of the most successful reality game show on the planet.
Well, the irony of that is that it's not even really that dark at the level the players experience it, right? Because unlike Hunger Games or Running Man or something like that, these the contestants are not prisoners. They're not coerced. They're very excited to be participating because what's actually going on is the military-industrial complex megacorps in the future have been trying to test their new weaponry, their cloning and cybernetic enhancement technologies. And so they've teamed with the media corps to produce this show. And these willing participants, that's why it's fight for fame, right? This is just the perfect proving ground for all of these, technological advancements that will eventually be sold to the highest bidder. But the characters themselves, they don't care. They're in it for clicks and likes and traffic and basically the adoration of the crowd. And of course, the crowd doesn't really care either. They don't know. So while it's set in the seedy world of that sort, you are actually experiencing it at the plastic veneer level above the grime, right. Which is
and the kind of art direction on this game is meant to enhance that as well. We went
right.
Jackie Davis is the illustrator on this, who we had worked with on the Dragon Roads, and she actually did this immediately following the Almanac stuff, which is coming soon, by the way.
Yeah, she's great.
But when we proposed this to her as something that to see if she would be interested in it, she's like, well, I've never really worked on anything involving guns or weaponry or combat or anything. It sounds different. I'm in. So we have she brought her kind of signature almost. It's like what if Pixar did the Hunger Games? Like she brought her signature kind
Don't
of
sue us. Don't
her
sue us, Pixar.
her bright, colorful, kind of lighthearted style to the brutal reality that is the mega show of Reload.
Right, and the designers, Francois Ruizet, who is the designer of Room 25, and the co-designer Jean-Marc Trebet, they, they were pushing for that same kind of thematic element where the violence is certainly occurring, but it's been trivialized to some extent, and you can decide whether you think that's good or bad. But that because these characters, as soon as they're not killed, they simply reload, as the name implies, into a new cybernetically enhanced clone, and boom, parachute right back into the game. So it simulates the respawn of a shooter style video game or battle royale, depending on what one you're playing, while thematically steering into this notion of it's a game show. I mean, we know, everybody knows that if something like this were to air, it's really the next logical step above pro wrestling, being made real. If all of those things, could happen, inevitably there would be an audience, and this is what it's trying to capture. But it's done kind of tongue in cheek, as Bayer said. If Pixar were to do the Hunger Games. So the art style is that way, the gameplay is that way. The fact that scoring is purely fame based, which
we'll get into when we have when we can show it. There's not an easy way to show it now. It has a very innovative scoring system. It's not just points. There's a visual element to it.
Right, exactly.
That'll be coming down the line. So yeah, you alluded to the gameplay. So do you want to give like a high level overview of the gameplay, and I'll slide over some card images and some hexes?
Sure. So at its core, Reload uses a dice action selection system. So you see the player aids there, and running along vertically on the left side are a number of different actions you can take. You can run, you can activate hexes on the island, you can loot supply boxes or beacons, etc. You can build traps or walls or your hideout, or you can heal yourself or teammates in multiplayer games. Now, you most of the time are not rolling your dice when you select these actions. You take the action, and so if you chose your first run action, it has a 4 value. You would place the die with its 4 face up, and so on. And the number of action dice you have fluctuates based on how many injuries you've taken. And that's really the core engine of the game. And the more you do things, the more those values go down, depending on the actions you select and the character you're using. And that can affect how easily you can be attacked by your opponent. Now, I mentioned assigning dice. The 2 actions I didn't mention are ranged combat actions, which that action space actually lives on the weapons themselves. I'm sure some will cycle back through here in a moment. The bottom action on the left there, the close combat action. And in those, you'll be rolling either your remaining action dice and comparing them with the action dice of your opponent, which is an oversimplification, or as Bayer showed the crossbow there, that creates a new action space where you assign a die and resolve a shooting or a ranged combat rolling the shooting dice. And so there is some dice chucking, but they are more assigning values for taking actions and managing that. And this is done to give meaning to your actions, lots of options, and yet facilitate speed of gameplay, because as soon as you try to implement a video game in tabletop, you have to peel away lots of layers of complexity that would otherwise be handled by the game system to allow it to move rapidly. And so that's why it is this way, and that's how it's presented. And we think it's does a great job of keeping that pace that you would expect from a game like this.
I'm getting some lag.
Oh, you're getting lag?
Yeah, I was dropping frames there for a second. Looks like Rogue.
Okay, and so there's a wide variety of weapons and other pieces of equipment that you can get, armor, grenades, et cetera, et cetera. But because each of the characters has, if you're using the advanced side, an asymmetrical power, that steers into the personality as well as the play style of the character that not only guides your strategy, but the experience you have when you take on that role. And it's a fun combination of things that, while the system itself is closed, within that system, we've had more than one person comment that the freedom of play that it really gives you is, although greatly different from it, similar in experience to something like a Western Legends, because you can pretty much do whatever you want.
Yeah, and that was something that was really interesting to me, just watching people play, is that you really do see people kind of skew towards their preferred style. But even if somebody familiar or who plays a lot of games like Apex Legends or that sort of battle, or not Overwatch, what's that one, Fortnite, that wildly popular game Fortnite, where you have people who prefer to hang back and engage in range combat that way, and you have the people who try to go through and try and pick up their points quick with the beacons, and you have people who want to build walls and traps and play more defensively and just gain their points that way. And the system is open enough to allow you to play how you want. And much like Western Legends, you can play Wyatt Earp as an outlaw and do just fine. But some of the characters in Western Legends, if you lean into how they played historically, it might go a little better, but there's nothing stopping you from not doing that, right?
Yeah, it's an interesting form of asymmetry because it is, but the agency that the system gives the players allows for emergent asymmetry of experience as well, and we think that's one of the highlights of the game. Is from a developer standpoint and designer standpoint, I believe, and I know that the team believes, you should play the game. The game shouldn't play you. And this is absolutely a case of you get to play the game.
Yeah. So that's kind of basically the high-level overview. The other thing I would touch on is that the map itself, on the right side of the screen, you can see the hexes kind of scrolling through there. So the game uses a modular map setup. So depending on which game mode you're playing, which another thing to point out is there's multiple ways to play the game. More on that later. But it uses a hex-based map, so we have set up maps for you in a map book, which you've been working on. I believe you said there was 8.
There are
with all the social stretch goals.
Yes, and we can mention that right now the pre-launch landing page is up, where you can follow the link and subscribe to that. And based on the interest shown there, that will start to populate the base game product with up to 4 social stretch goal maps that will unlock into it. So there will be some social stretch goals prior to the campaign and possibly during, but the main campaign element will be daily unlocks into the Kickstarter expansion. But yes, we provide designed maps. And of course, it's your game, you can do what you want. And we will recommend ways in which players can swap in and out certain hexes to modify their experience in a balanced way. Technically speaking, other than one hex on certain maps, you could do whatever you wanted and it would still work. It would just be a slightly more unstable experience. But, that doesn't mean that it wouldn't be fun.
Right. So in the chat, I posted links to both the launch page, where you can we'll be posting the rules as soon as they're ready to be posted. We're putting just the final tweaks on them right now, as well as the social stuff for unlocking the maps, pre-campaign, and any news or information regarding Reload as it comes out. As we add it, it'll be on the page on the first link. And I also linked the BGG page, so if you want to go there and subscribe and like and share, ask questions there, both Chris Ham and I are very active on BGG, and we're always there answering questions and interacting with all of our games, not just Reload.
Absolutely.
And then, so one final thing that we want to talk about is...
Speaking of interacting with the fans.
Speaking of interacting, our yet unnamed but kind of a backer appreciation program of sorts is we soon, TM, are launching what I, for now, will call the preferred backer program or something like that. What it is we're creating a system in which our backers and community members can sign up to play. Reload is going to be our test bed for this platform, and if it goes well, all our games going forward as best as we can. But giving you guys, the community, the opportunity to play with us before the campaign in kind of a guided teaching demo session of whatever the upcoming game is. So we're going to be launching this with Reload. As soon as that's ready, I'm hopeful that it'll be next week-ish, definitely by the end of the month. We'll launch that.
Tabletopia, by the way.
Yeah, we have Reload built on Tabletopia. That's being updated right now. And as soon as that is ready and we have the sign-up ready to go, we'll be posting about it here on Facebook and all of our socials, so be sure you're following there to see that when it comes out. But basically, you'll be able to go there and sign up and say, hey, I'm interested in trying this, and we'll basically populate a list and send out invites to anybody who signs up. And if we can coordinate something with you guys, our fans, to show you the game and play the game with you before it launches, we would absolutely love to have everyone play so that you can then tell all your friends about how much fun you had or not. Yeah.
Well, I mean, certainly there's that, and you laugh and you say not, but I mean, gameplay is our big thing here. We're, Bayer and I are hardcore gamer background, and so that's really what we do with Kolossal, is try to make, focus on the gameplay, and so we feel good about sharing the gameplay. We want you to play our games, and also it's a way to, certainly there's ways we'll benefit, because I'm sure if something comes up when people are playing, that'll give us an opportunity to fix it. It's late stage play testing effectively, but it's also behind the scenes, access for the people who've made this all possible for us, which is you, the backers, and the gamers, and so we're still working out the details in the system, but yes, if you've been a former backer, you'll have a random opportunity, ideally moving forward for all of our campaigns that we can do this, to have access beforehand. And certainly we would love it if you backed every one of our games, but it will give you a chance to test drive it. And maybe you decide you love Western Legends and or Mezzo, but, such and such game is just not for you. And, we appreciate your backing and your dollars. And we would, honestly, it is better for our relationship with you if you don't buy one of our games that happens not to be your cup of tea. We want you, as our backers who've supported us, to feel good about every one of our games that you back. And we think this is a good way to make that, a reality. And I'm going to be training some ambassadors, but who will do some of the teaching, but I'm sure that myself and or Bayer and other representatives of Kolossal team will be in there trading shots with you. And, I famously show no mercy, so I will try to splatter you as hard as I can.
Yeah. That's very true. So on that note, I have everything posted here in chat, as well as we are regularly posting these things to our Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff. Ham, do you have any closing thoughts?
Not a whole lot. We're going to be stepping up the lives in the run up to the launch, which is at the end of January. I believe it's the 26th, Tuesday the 26th.
Yeah.
And so you'll be seeing more of us, and we'll be talking about Reload and some of the other things we're working on. And as Bayer said, reach out to us on any of the platforms with questions, concerns, etc., because we're, happy to talk to you.
Everything that Ham just said.
Ditto would have covered it.
Ditto that. All right. So this was a short stream. We are going to be back again with some more streams like Ham mentioned, and we'll get more into some different aspects of the game and be putting out other content related to the game leading up to the launch, interviews with the designers and that sort of stuff. So just keep an eye on our Facebook page and socials, and we will see you guys next time.
Bye, everyone.